What's up, fight fans? And we're back at it with another edition here at Round One Sports TV. We are going to be kicking off this show. We are going to be talking about one of the hottest and upcoming rising fighters we have today in Subriel Matias. We're going to be talking about what makes him the boogeyman. Even though he is a world champion, he is still considered the boogeyman of the 140-pound weight division. We're going to be taking a look inside his impressive career all the way up until this point and what has made him uh, a worthy adversary in the 140-pound weight division. Just going to let some people join in here, but I'm just going to go ahead and get this show going right now. Um, Well, thank you for tuning in or catching the show later. If you're when you do come into the stream, please let me know how my audio sounds and if it sounds okay. Uh, because I've been really working on this right now, and I think I have it. I think I have it. I'm not sure, right? But I hope it sounds great. Well, Subriel Matias is a Puerto Rican fighter, and he started his career fairly late in the game due to his incarceration. He started his professional career in Puerto Rico, right? And like most boxers, when you're starting off with your boxer, you don't want to, like throw them in right into the lion's den. You have to see what you're working with. And being that the fact that Subriel Matias, he did have amateur background in boxing. He was familiar with boxing, but he was coming back to it, right? So Subriel, he started his professional day view, right, against Juan Rodriguez. Now Juan Rodriguez had he was coming into that off of a loss, and it was basically, one of his debuts as well. So it was a 4-round scheduled fight. Matias stops him in the first round, and it was it was it was a start and a beginning to what is to come, right? He only fought, let me see, one, two, three fights, right? Is it three fights? He only fought three fighters, right? He fought like one fighter when, he's making his debut. This guy had a loss. His next fighter, he was making his debut. And his third fighter came into the fight with a record of 3-6, right? Luis Rodriguez, right, came into that fight with a record of 3-6. Now, once he, he is he put himself in the ring. He tested himself against his peers. He started his career at 147 pounds. Okay. Now, his next fight was at 144 pounds, and the third fight was at 140 pounds. Okay. He was really trying to find himself, just get those fights in the beginning of your career. You're just trying to get the work in to really see what your guy looks like at this point in his career. Um, in his fourth professional fight, he came up against a guy with a record of 16 and two losses. By then they must have felt like, let's test the waters. Let's see how he does. You know, um, in fact, I do have audio on some of his fights. Uh, let's check out some of this audio too, as well. Um, or video, not audio, video. I believe that this is, in fact, his first fight. All right, let's check him out here and see how he's doing against his opponent. Wow, he had him in all kinds of trouble. Mm-mm. Had him up against the rope, shelling up. Those are big shots right there coming in. Ooh, ooh. He had enough. He couldn't take no. He spit out the mouthpiece. That was a good fight right there. This guy right here. Did you see his record? Did you see his record? Hold up, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. We just can't slide by that right there. Okay, is that the guy that he fought? Yeah, this guy David, right? His record was 62 fights in 8. 62 fights in 8. By this time, Subriel Matias was coming into his, what was it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. He was entering his 12th professional fight. So going into this fight, he only had 11 fights. Coming against a guy that had 62 professional fights. Now, when you look at a record like that, you say to yourself, wow, 62 professional fights. But out of 62 professional fights, you only have 8 losses. It's not like he had like 30 losses or something. He was a great journeyman, and this was a great test for Subriel Matias in his young career coming into this fight right here. Um, at this point, Subriel Matias has never competed for a world title, and this is one of those fighters that you wanted him to fight. Um, some of his fights, he fought in the beginning of his career, the majority of his fights were in Puerto Rico. He fought in San Juan, Dominican Republic. He fought in Dominican Republic. It was twice, right? And then when he came into this fight right here, uh look, 62 fights, that's a good test right there. That's a good test. And he came to America to fight this fight. And I believe this was his American debut. It was it was Orleans, New Orleans. Yeah, it was New Orleans. It was in New Orleans. So this was his American debut right here. Let's see how he failed. Let's how he fared against his opponent. Let's see how he fared. Oh, and by the way, as you can see, this was in the World Series, Super Series. Okay, make note of that. Wow, 1 point, huh? They deducted him a point for that. As you can see, this guy David, he was game. He was definitely game. Subriel was just relentless, and his body attack. What's going on here? Boom. He was just making a mess. Now, this fight right here is the fight where he came in with Mad Max Dervacek. And Dervacek was an undefeated fighter from Russia. Um, this right here was a really good fight for Subriel Matias is coming in against an undefeated opponent. Now, unfortunately, in this fight, tragedy struck. A fighter lost his life doing the thing he loves to do. And You see, this is a one of the things that boxing has to tighten up everywhere. Some people do not like to bring this fight up for Subriel Matias. They think it gives them a bad look or it sounds really bad. But in actuality, as a fighter, These are some of the things that a fighter screams. You know how I'll take a man's life in the ring. That's how dominant I will be. And until it happens, and then you have to carry that cross with you. Subriel Matias understood that he didn't just die, or he didn't take a man's life. No, this was a man competing in a sport, and two men in a sport that they love. Many of us die doing simple things or things we shouldn't be doing, and we lose our life. When you look back at it, if you had to make a choice, would you rather give your life to something that you truly love and enjoy doing? It goes to show that these men and women out there, and this is not a game. You could play basketball, you could play baseball, you could play football, but you can't play boxing. And you know, that is something that a lot of men and women come to find out real fast in this sport. So Subriel and Mad Max Derechek here fought a very great fight right here. The thing that I was talking about, that the boxing needs to tighten up in certain areas, is the fact that they should have the proper medical staff in every fight, just in case situations like this happen. They always think, oh, no one's going to need an ambulance or a doctor, right? And they have like a physician there or whatever, but he don't got no ambulance. And after the fight, they probably sat this guy in the locker room for God alone knows how long before an ambulance or the team um, saw that he was in real trouble, you know. Or maybe at some point in the fight, he had reached a point of no return, regardless if they had got him the medical attention right there. We will never know that. But the one thing that I'm in agreement with is that we should have the proper medical response teams there just in case accidents like this happen. I know that nobody likes to flick the bill for them being there, because even though they're there, they're gonna have to get paid for being there, the EMTs. And promoters don't want to pay that the extra, and they should be mandated to do as such. Stop being greedy about saving a couple dollars and thinking about saving a life. That's all I got to say about that. So uh Max and Subriel Matias right here. And listen, man, Max was a undefeated fighter. Wow. Subriel was relentless in his body attack. Max was hanging in there with him. It was a back and forth. Both men were coming. Look at this, in a phone booth. Look at Subriel's wearing it face too. So Subriel just started wearing him down as the rounds kept going. It was shots like that. Did you see that uppercut and the inside? Look at and he was look. See, when you're having this kind of conversation with your fighter at that time, yes, should have said that he should have stopped that fight during that time. But look, no one really knows. No one really knows. Trainer and coach knew that something was really wrong with him. Do you honestly believe that he would have? Come on, man. He loved his fighter, man. These are just things that happen, unfortunately, in the sport of boxing. Now, Subriel Matias, you know, like many Puerto Rican fighters in the past, and great legends, uh he's trying to make his mark in the sport of boxing and really show that you know he wants to be a legend in this game. Yo, my man Chang, I just saw that. $10. What's up, my man Chang? Always tuning in, always showing the love. My Round One Sports Talk and my man Chang. What's up? Matias is his toughest, bro. Saw his last fight. I liked him. Yes, he is very tough. He's very tough, very durable. Um, you know, look, as far as styles go, right? A lot of different fighters have a lot of different styles. Some fighters, all fighters don't look the same. Now, Subriel Matias' style is a pressure style fight. He'll wear you down, break you down, and he's not afraid to take one to give one. What makes him his style, in order to pull off what he's doing, right? You would have to have a combination of things, right? You would have to have a good gas tank, you would have to have an iron chin, and you would have to have an understanding that all your punches don't have to come out with murderous intention. Just touch the guy. Subriel Matias's jab, I've noticed, he uses it for two things: as a rangefinder, right? And to measure the distance between him and his opponent, right? And he also uses it as like a disguise. He tries to put it in the fighter's face, right? But he also, you know, has a real slick jab. When he wants to use it, and he wants to use the jab to work his way in the inside, the minute that you succumb to his fighting style, where that you say, oh, I'm just going to meet you here, chest to chest, that's where he wants you. That's exactly where he wants you. Now Subriel puts a jab away. You don't really see his jab come out to play no more. He doesn't need it. You allowed him to come in through the front door. And once Subriel Matias comes in through the front door and you met him there, he wants we're about to find out what you're made of. And that's what he's about. And at some times in some of his fights, I'm even willing to say that he likes to play with his food. Listen, some of these guys, I felt like he could have got out of there, and he allowed them to stick around to beat on him. I know men like that. Trust me, I've met men like that knew in the back of their mind the entire time this guy can't beat him. And what he did is he softened them up and he went for that knockout. You know, um, listen, I gotta be honest with you guys, right? Subriel Matias has 20 fights, 20 knockouts, one loss. He revenged his only loss. We'll get right to that, right? This is one of the only fighters I've ever seen in boxing history that I can honestly say that a loss did him good. I repeat, a loss did him good. In fact, why don't we look at what has transpired since his first loss? Let's check it out. I have him here on Boxing Record, and if you would like, you can go on Boxing Record and follow with me, and you can see this for yourself. Okay, we're gonna go back down to his only loss. So he loses, right? Since the loss, since his only loss, from there on in, one, two, three, four, shit, five. Yes, it is. Since that loss, he's been on a tear. He didn't knock out his last opponents. He made them all quit. He was beating on those men so bad that he was looking for that spectacular knockout. They just didn't stick around. Then, um, in the five men that he made quit, he revenged his only loss to that guy. I took a look at that guy's face in the Subriel Matias first fight and the loss that he suffered. Subriel Matias was wearing it more than the other guy. Yes, he was in the first fight. He had admitted that there's a certain point in boxers' lives that sometimes distractions could be exactly that, distractions. And he may have not been in the best physical shape going into that fight. He was real hard on himself. And he promised himself, if I ever got the opportunity to fight that guy again, I'm going to show him. And boy, did he. Subriel Matias showed up and he made him quit. He made him quit, I believe it was going into the eighth round. I remember that fight. And I was very happy in that moment because not only that says a lot about a fighter, let me tell you, right? I'm not sure if many of you have ever been in fights, but if you lose to a fight, sometimes that does something to a fighter. And you might want to have all the will in the world to want to fight him, but depending on how that guy beat you, he might have took something out of you. You know, for you to overcome that challenge, knowing this guy's the only guy that beat me, and the way he beat me, Subriel could have said anything he wanted on that night. And I do agree that the knockdown was the deciding factor in that fight, because that fight was raised like this, right? But it did look like Subriel was wearing it more than the other guy. So I know he wanted to get a get back. And like I said, it's one thing to want to get a get back. It's one thing to fantasize it, but it's another thing for the guy that whooped your ass is now standing in front of you. You know, talk about overcoming your fears. You know, um, he took the fight and he came into that fight in one of the best conditions, of that time. I believe he was in the best shape of his life leading into that fight, you know, and he shut him down. He shut him down and he had him battered. He gave him a beating and he showed him. He showed him. He was like, yo, I'm going to let you know that first fight, I'm not going to complain about it. I'm not making no excuses. I'm going to let you know in this fight right here, I came to fight tonight and it showed. He made him quit. He made him quit, man. You want to know something? In every sport, there's a way of losing that's even more disrespectful than the obvious, like a knockout. If you get knocked out, they'll be like, yo, the dude knocked you out. It's, embarrassing. It hurts, right? But at least you can take, and the fact like, yo, I got knocked out. There was nothing else I could do. What you want me to do? I was out like this. You know what I mean? Right? So you were out. But there's another thing that if you have all your senses, your two hands are working, you're okay, and you quit. I made you quit. I made you say, okay, I'm good. I don't want no more. I didn't knock you out. The referee didn't stop the fight. You didn't have a cut. You told the physician, yo, I'm good. They asked you, do you want to continue? And you said, no mas. Yo, that is crazy. It's like in Miss Martial Arts. Would you rather get submitted or knocked out? Bro, I'd rather get knocked out, never submitted. Why? That man just made you say uncle. He twists your arm, your leg, whatever it is, and he says, say uncle, bro. And you was like, uncle. Oh, yo, bro, to some men, you're going to have to snap his hand. Some guys are not going to tap. You're going to have to choke him out. The embarrassment of going back to your gym and looking at your peers and them saying, bro, that dude made you say uncle, and you're claiming it being the best. And for like the top, like, yo, that's embarrassing. That is embarrassing. Not one, not two, not even three, but the last five fighters quit on the stool. That's got to be a kind of record or something, right? I know they won't give out an award for that. That's our personal opinion. There's no such award for something like that, but that's impressive. That is truly impressive. Now, you know, when you're starting to do things and to be recognized in your own sport or your own craft, whether you want it or not, you have a responsibility to your people, to your fans, you know, to hold yourself at a high standard. Don't do anything crazy outside of the sport while you're in the sport. Every time we see you, we should see a better version of yourself. Fans can be harsh, just like Amanda Serrano, just in the Jake Paul fight. That was a freak accident. She had some hair dye. She's jogging, that shit burned inside of her eye. The acid inside the hair dye burnt like her eye, and they wouldn't approve her, right? And she's got the big glasses on, and I believe it. You know why I believe it? Because she looked like $1 million just the day before, sparring in the middle of, showing the people what she looked like and how fast she was. There was no tell of a broken hand, a injured foot, none of that shit. She looked amazing. I was like, oh, we about to get her. That was truly a freak accident, bro. And, you know, hey, I guess it happens, but nobody wants to. Well, I guess I didn't even check into it because I kind of don't follow my man Jake Paul's. Hey, he's doing his thing. I love it for him. But when I saw that fight quickly, I was like, wow, that who's he fighting? Like, this is getting bad. So I don't got no opinion on it because I don't neither want to hurt the sport or talk bad about my sport. And since he is in my sport, listen, I can't hate on the man. He's doing his thing, baby. Whatever. It is what it is, so I'm gonna leave that one alone, right? So, like, freak accidents happen, but when, as a Puerto Rican man, there have been a lot of Puerto Rican fighters and great amount Puerto Rican champions. And the one thing Puerto Rico could say that we have successfully had a world champion in all 17 weight divisions. Not a lot of people can say that, okay? And I'm not sure a lot of countries will be able to say that ever, okay? But we do, So and when you look out through the history of the men that have held the torch as Puerto Rican fighters, you look at great fighters like Wilfredo Gomez, a great legend, a staple in boxing, especially Puerto Rican, as for Puerto Rico. Um, you know, um, he has the record, I believe it is, for the most title defenses in the super bantamweight division. And I believe that title still stands today. I don't think anybody in the super bantamweight division, no fighter has more title defenses than Wilfredo Gomez. He still has that record for, in all of boxing. Um, March 6, 1967, a young 17-year-old Wilfredo Benitez became the youngest world champion in the world at only 17 years old. Back then, they let you fight like that at that age. Now you can't. I think you might have to be 18 or you can be 17 now. I think it was like the guys were trying to fight like Manny Pacquiao when he was like 14 or some shit. They was lying for Manny, but Manny was a dog, you know. Um, and Wilfredo Benitez became the youngest champion, Puerto Rican champion at 17 years old. I believe that's still a record, and I believe that's still worldwide. At 17 years old, he's the youngest champion ever. Um, there was another record, June 7th, 2014, Miguel Cotto's became the first Puerto Rican four division world champion. Yes. And then Mando Serrano, male or female, She has a title in 7 weight divisions, and she unified all 4 belts in one of the weight divisions, and I believe multiple. She's had 3 belts and 3 belts and shit like that. Yeah, 7 weight divisions. So that's why I don't question Emmanuel Serrano's pedigree. I don't question Amanda Serrano's warrior spirit. I see that she's all over YouTube trying to defend herself because she believes that people somehow might think that she's like pulls a stunt or pulled out or something. No, sweetheart. Anyone that would think that doesn't know you. I know you're a straight warrior, and if they would have allowed you to, you would have fought her under those conditions. Oh, 100%, I believe it. So Amanda Serrano, look, just heal up, come back to your next fight. That's, shit happens. What can I say? And then you have legendary, like, you know, uh, Felix Trinidad. Felix Trinidad was an amazing champion. In fact, Felix Trinidad was one of the only men that could have mirrored him in the record of most consecutive world title fights. Yes, if you were to go to boxing record, right, and you were to look up Felix Trinidad, right? Okay, for instance, let's see here. Bam, got it. Felix Trinidad. He ended his career with 42 fights, 35 big ways by knockouts, 3 losses, and in one of the losses he was knocked out, which was the fight against Bernard Hopkins, right? Okay, now Felix Trinidad. Okay, let's go down my man's impressive career here. Like he was a dog. Listen, okay. Felix Trinidad. Damn, he has a lot of fights. Okay, he won his first world title against Maurice Blocker. Yeah, he won his first the IBF welterweight world title. He came in, he fought the fight at 140, 146, right? He was 145 and a half. The other guy came in at 146. Okay, so since that fight that he won the IBF, let's count it. 1 world title fight, 2 world title fights, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. He successfully defended the 147-pound title 12 times. Then he moved up to 153 pounds where he fought Troy Waters, right? Now, if when you go to boxing record and you're looking at this, you notice that at the bottom it says WBC light middleweight title eliminator, right? That wasn't for a belt. It was a fucking title eliminator. Had he not fought that one fucking fight, bro, that one fight against this Tony Waters, man, right? Yo, his impressive title run continues, bro. After that fight, the title eliminated 150, because he was acclimating to another division. He goes back down to the 147. Let's continue. One, two, three, 4. His fourth fight was at 147 for the WBC and the IBF. Where were we? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's for 2 belts. 4, 5, 6, seventh one, 2 more belts. 8, 9, until he lost. So he had 9 more successful title fights after that bullshit tune-up fight that he had in between. So that would have been 21. 21 consecutive world title fights in a row without that fucking Tony Waters dude. He would have had 21 consecutive world title fights until he came up against Bernal Hopkins, where he lost in Madison Square Garden for the IBF, the WBA, and the WBC. Yeah, but Felix Trinidad was that dude. He fought guys like Fernando Vargas. Fernando Vargas came into that fight a young fighter, 20 and 0. He was Fernando Vargas is a dog was a dog back then, and he fought big. He fought Oscar De La Hoya, for two belts. Those are all the top guys. And at the tail end of his career, when you could see champions, man, he fought right at the end of his career. And Roy Jones, Roy Jones was a big fight. He was all way up there at 170. Felix Trinidad doesn't belong in 170. That was a gimmick fight. But I talk about these gimmick fights. A lot of these guys should have thought about it and made them exhibitions. And that loss right now on Felix Trinidad's record would have not counted. He would only had two losses. You see how these fights at the tail end of their career affects the legend, the champion, and affects them at their career. And that's why I always say, if you're thinking about calling this guy the GOAT right now in the sport of boxing, you cannot. You can only be considered the GOAT in the sport of boxing when you retire. That's it. That's the only time you can be considered. You know why? This is why. What if at the tail end of his career, he doesn't retire well and he gets knocked out his last 10 fights? Would you consider that guy the champion? His last 10 fights, he got knocked out brutally. He's fighting all the way in his 40s, 45, 50 years old. Now, yeah, in a way, making his ring return at 49. He could do it this time. Boom, knocked out. Until they retire and it's all said and done and everything is tallied up, that's when you can be given the crown, the GOAT. This man knows that. He knows it. It's only a matter of time, you see? And Matias is in an interesting situation now, too, because he can really write his legacy. He's already a star in Puerto Rico. We love him, you know, um, but we do want more. We do want more. And I got to admit, um, Puerto Rico has been on a decline for champions, great champions anyway. And we really never had that real superior champion. Miguel Cotto's did have the fourth division, but he did it like quietly. He was a force to be reckoned in the beginning of Miguel. But when that motherfucker did that glove shit, you see shit like that, bro. That dude should be anyway, I'll save it because it won't be good. Um he messed up Miguel Cotto's career, bro. He did. He did. And it took something from Miguel Cotto's that night. Coming into that fight, he was a confident, undefeated fighter. He beat that out of him. Yeah, man. And it was on some cheating shit, bro. Margarito had them fucking hand wraps, man, with, you know what I mean? That was some bullshit, bro. I don't even want to talk about that shit, you know? But, you know, So Brielle can have an opportunity to really cement his name among the legends in Puerto Rico. Um, he's already done a lot for us, but I would like to see him fight some of the top guys in the 140. I'm not too sure some of the top guys would fight him. The only guy at 140 that you can say what you want, but I'm always give him his respect is Devin Haney. I don't believe Devin Haney's scared of anybody, and I talked about this. I think Devin Haney's father's more scared to fight Subriel than Devin Haney himself. I think Devin Haney's a great fighter, and he can take care of himself inside of that ring and just pay attention to him every time. So, Bill, this was a freak accident, bro. That shit against Mad Max Derechek, that doesn't happen every day. You know, you never know what he could have been happening inside internally. There was so many factors, but Devin Haney is gonna come, and he's gonna come with it. I believe that that's Subriel's toughest opponent in the 140 for right now. As the young men start to, move up in weight and, you know, I'm not sure if Teofimo Lopez, for as much he runs his mouth more than he does fighting lately. He's been a little bougie with it. He barely got by Jermaine Ortiz, and I still believe Jermaine Ortiz outsmarted him in that fight and had Teofimo Lopez quite frustrated, if you ask me. But the judges seem to have awarded him for his forward aggression, his fake aggression, because he still didn't land any offense going forward. It's fucking bullshit. They can give you a round for just, going forward, right? They're not considering that you can't even touch this guy. They got to take that in consideration. And it's not my fault you can't catch up to me. You should have trained better, right? So, um, Subriel, look, I love Subriel a lot, and I think that I went and I checked this out. It is not official that his next fighter is going to be Elvis. That is not official. Okay. When you can find out if a fight is official and you go to Boxing Record, they'll have his next scheduled opponent in the next bracket, right? The first one, because it's official, right? So, but I believe that Elvis Rodriguez is the person that they're mostly leaning towards. I think it'll be a good fight. A lot of people think it'll be a good fight. You ask me, the reason why I don't really like come out and say it, because I don't want people to think that I'm being biased. I don't want, because I'm Puerto Rican. I don't want them to think, oh, you're just saying this because that Subriel is like, and I'm just like, on this one right here, because of the fact that Dominican fighters and Puerto Rican fighters and the history of us, of so much, back and forth on this one, I'm kind of saying I'm gonna let Subriel do the talking on this one. I'm not, look, I'm trying to keep it all love. Dominican Santo Domingo is our neighboring cousins. You know, um, the world can put titles on all of us, but we're still all human. And I don't believe that there is just a race of people that you can just say are just shitbags. That I don't think that's ever been a case. There might be a few individuals, but you can't judge everybody for a certain few individuals, right? You can't hold their entire race because of what a couple of them do. No, that you would that would be a bad way to look at things. So I'm pretty sure that Dominicans and Puerto Ricans throughout the years have had their own fights and controversies and have shared their mutual words back and forth. But I'm not about that. You know what I mean? Ain't no none of them men do anything to me, and I ain't never did anything to y'all, right? Let's just watch a fight, a competitive fight. Being that the fight that's going to be in Puerto Rico, look, Ed Hearns wanted to bring the fight to Puerto Rico. What do you think that Jake Paul brought it out there? A lot of tax loopholes, right? We all know what the real deal is, right? So, you get to keep a lot more money. So anyway, but it's his homeland, and Subriel Matias really wants to, you know, um, man, that'll be big for your career. Imagine that you finally get to fight in your own hometown. You must have dreamt about that as a kid, about that moment, and he really doesn't care who you get as an opponent. He just wants to give the his people and the fans a great show, and to bring that to his city, where that his city can also generate revenue off of this fight, and it's good for everyone there, you know. Uh, and it'll boost up the morale on the island. There's been a lot of tragic situations and storms on the island, and I think that the people on the island would really like this, and it would be good. And if he's able to secure the victory, it would even make that night that much better. So. Let me answer some of your questions. Nobody talks about Wilfredo Vargas. Why doesn't nobody talk about him? He's a dog. Probably because out of sight, out of mind. Probably. I don't know. Look, I can't honestly say, right, Richard, that uh nobody wants to fight Subriel Matias lately. Okay. I know that all the guys that were the toughest guys did in fact sign up to fight him. They did. He just stopped them all. He or made them quit, right? As far as the superstars in the weight division, what happened was during the time that he was really making big moves, Subriel Matias, his boxing promoter saw that he needed he needed a bigger promotional network and someone that can really put up a lot of money to back him, right? To entice the other champions to fight him because that's basically how you get the champions in the ring. You need the money to back you. So Subriel hooked up with Ed Hearns, Matchroom, The Zone, them guys, right? Okay. So Ed Hearns signed Subriel Matias, but within the signing, he had to pass a physical, right? He hurt his hand. Remember? Teofimo Lopez goes on and tries to say, Yo, Subriel, you want to fight? Subriel's like, bro, I just posted a week ago. My hand's broken, and you're going to ask me to fight? Oh, you don't want to fight. Gotta go, right? He's scared, right? Which couldn't be further from the truth. So when Bill Haney contacted Subriel Matias's promotional Juan there, right? They got a translator or whatever, and they were trying to that kind of business really doesn't work. Although you got a translator, the translator really never like always says everything 100%. So you're not feeling comfortable probably. And the next thing is you're trying to tell Bill Haney, look, I need some time, right? Because unbeknownst to Bill Haney, Subriel's about to sign with Ed Hearn. He just got to prove that his hand's going to be okay and that the healing process is going to be great. He's going to go in the ring and this, because you don't want to sign a broken fighter, right? So once Ed Hearn worked out all the kinks, the little details, and he signed them, where's Bill Haney at now? Where's Bill Haney at now? Where's Bill Haney and Devin Haney at now? Why they don't call Ed Hearns? Let's see what's really going on now. That's what I would like to see. Because Subriel Matias's promoter at the time was no longer going to be in charge of that. He was going to be a co-promoter and work out what he has to work out, like when he has fighters in Puerto Rico and he can bring other fighters to Ed Hearn. Ed Hearn's been really doing some power moves. So I can see from the outside looking in, when you got all these other guys, rah, 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 sounds good. But if you scratch the surface a little bit and you start to inquire what was going on and you start to pay attention to the dates and the time, you're like, wait a minute. They was challenging homeboy when you guys all knew his hand was hurt. You guys all knew he was switching promotional company. He was in the air in limbo. He couldn't and Mattia doesn't make the decisions. He can ask for the fights. Who is trying to promote the fight if he was in limbo? You see how these guys try to be slick? You see? So, you know, Matias wants to fight in Puerto Rico. Tio wants to fight in Honduras. Devin Haney doesn't really care where he fights, as long as he gets the fight. I don't think that the Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney fight might happen. Ryan's starting to, a lot of people are seeing it. I don't even have to say it anymore. Just look at it for yourself. You tell me if you feel comfortable that that fight's gonna happen. You tell me your honest opinion. When they got the other guy sitting at the press conference, and I'm looking, I shared it with you guys. I was like, who the fuck is that guy right there? And why doesn't he have an opponent? That's the standby. That is some shit, man. Yeah, Barboza. Yeah, it might be Devin Haney against Barboza, man. Who knows? Who knows? I hope Ryan Garcia gets it together and we see a hell of a fight. All this stuff he's saying, I'm not even going to get into it because that's for a later date. Okay. What I was trying to talk about right here was one of the rise of a great fighter. He's considered the boogeyman of the division. Not a lot of fighters are signing up to fight him right now. Um, a little while ago, they were lining up, they were fighting him, but not the stars. I don't see Rolly signing up to fight him. And I also wouldn't see Isa Pitbull Cruz. Seeing that the fact that Isa Pitbull Cruz is blipping himself up, right? He's all of 5'3". 5'3", fighting at 140. Did you guys see what Tank Davis looked like at 140? He looked like a little meatball. And no abs. His face was like this big. But Tank was able to still fight like that, no problem, right? But not everybody can do that. Isa Pitbull Cruz is even shorter than Tank Davis. And you mean to tell me you're gonna blimp that man up to fight Rolly, a prime Rolly at 140? For as many people that think that Isa Pitbull Cruz is gonna beat Rolly, you guys might be in for a bad night. Rolly just might pull this off. Yo, listen, Rolly's a bully in that ring, and he does hit hard. He has been getting a little bit better, and Isa Pitbull Cruz has been looking slower, trying to sustain that weight. I'm not sure if his little frame is going to be able in the later half in the rounds, like the ninth round, the 10th round, the 11th round. I'm not sure. That I would have to see. But Rolly is probably going to beat Isa Pitbull Cruz. Yeah. He doesn't belong there. What the fuck is Isa? Bro, this shit is getting crazy. People are just, but opportunity is an opportunity, and I get it. That's a fucking crack at a real world title. Whatever happened to the old man? Once he won the interim, all of a sudden Rolly's probation and shit lifted. Like they're trying to don't look over here. Rolly don't want no part of that old man. Right? Ryan wants an easier fight. Yeah, we all know it. He wanted the Rolly fight first. That's exactly the fight that Ryan wanted first was the Rolly fight. Then he found out that Rolly signed up to fight Isa Pitbull Cruz. And then Ryan never wanted a fight in New York City. Ryan wants a fight in Las Vegas. So I think that Ryan's doing this hissy fit because he's not getting what he wants. And I think by all of his antics that um him going back and forth with Golden Boy, Bernard, all that shit, that they're hanging him out to dry. I think Bernard Hopkins and them are lifting the cape, the protection they had on him, and they're feeding him to the wolves. They're gonna make the money they can from him, damage the fighter, don't care whatever happens, and when he wants out, let him go. Make what you want. They're tired of his mouth and his stupid ways. Ryan Garcia. The fame has gotten so much to his head. When he looks back at his career, Ryan Garcia is going to see himself. He's going to see all the mistakes he made in his career. And he's going to wish he could have did it over again. That's exactly what's going to happen to Ryan Garcia. Yeah, because Ryan Garcia did a lot of bullshit, wasted time. He came, trained all that time. He put in all that work in the amateurs to finally get to the big show and burn the best years of your life. In a professional career, you only have a window of 15 to 20 years. 20 years is exaggerating. Not everybody can have a 20-year career, right? But let's just say you turn pro at 17, 18, right? The Japanese superstar turned pro at 19 years old. So I would say that the average pro age is about 20 years old. Okay. So from 20 years old to 30 years old is 10 years. You're already 30 years old. So you have to be in the prime of your life. After 30 years old, what do you have left? If you have 5 good years left till you're 35, that's 15 years. That's the maximum you have in your boxing career. Once you got there from the amateurs, and out of those 15 years, you want to fuck off 7? So your career was 8 years. Every year, every time they were fighting, they're taking a year off. You ever see the announcer? He's coming off an 11-month layoff. Notice that's a frequent pattern. They're fighting once, not fighting. Terrence Crawford fought 5 fights in 5 years, the last 5 years. And he's about to only fight one fight now. He only fought one time. Man, listen. And then they wonder when they look back, where did my career go? You wake up and you're Adrian Broner and you had all the talent in the world and you're like, what the fuck? And now you want to make a comeback and you see that your body's not responding. Those 6 years, you wanted to fuck around 5 years. You realize it's going to take you 5 years to get back in shape. You don't train for a year. It takes you a year to get back to where you were. There is no way, no human in recorded history that can train for 3 months and get that year back. It's impossible. The math doesn't add up. If you walk in one direction, right, for a mile, could you turn around and 5 minutes later be back here? How far would you have to walk back? 1 mile. Why is it that we think if we take 11 months off, we can get it all back in 3 months? You're not. You might be in physical shape, but your eye-to-eye coordination, your twitch muscles, the speed of the actual fight, it's not going to be there. It's not going to be there. There's going to be certain things. And then on top of that, had you not taken that year off, just imagine how much better you could have been rather than trying to get back to where you were. You could have been progressing. And with a window of like, not every fighter starts at 20 years old, right? Some fighters start lower. Some fighters age worser. Some men by 30 years old, they don't age well. I've seen it a lot. I know people that don't age well. I think I age pretty good. I age pretty good, right? I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. I age all right. I'm 50. I so I noticed that not all men are the same. Not all men can still move the same neither. So You probably got like a 12-year career, man, and then you're not gonna see him anymore. Vasil High Tech Lomachenko, Vasily, I always said it. He has one of the quickest rises and descents in all of the sport. What does the man got for fights? What does he got, like fucking 12 fights? I haven't even looked his record up, but I know it's ridiculously low. 18 fights or some shit like that. Some dumb shit. And he's about to try to be like retiring. This is his last shot right here. Uh, he loses this fight against George Camboza. Vasily doesn't fight anymore. He wins the fight. He's gonna go until he loses. That's pretty much what he'll do. If he wins against George, he'll try to fight for another fight, and him in his camp will just go until his next loss. And when he gets his next loss, I guarantee Vasily will walk away from the game. I guarantee it. Guarantee it. So Lara, yeah, he'll walk away. He'll walk away. But look, guys, I hope you guys we learned something from this episode today. You know, Subriel Matias has the opportunity and the chances. We just got to get these champions to fight him, and Subriel Matias really needs to, um, pay attention to when the champions are not going to fight him, and not stick around and try to like chase him, like Errol Spence Jr. and Terrence Crawford. In fact, like if he sees that Tio's just going to duck him and no one's going to fight him, take your chances at 147. There's some big fights there to be made. You have fighters like Jerron Boots Ennis and other established fighters up there that, there shouldn't be any problem for him to get big fights. And it would be another weight division as well. Uh, I'm not sure if Subria is the man that will conquer multiple weight divisions, but he does have the ability to be a dominant champion. And he can beat the best of the best that we have to offer him today if they would only fight him, you know. So, yeah, yeah, yeah. I think he has a chance. Is he beatable? Yeah, he's already lost. He's already lost, and and like I said, in many ways, I can't never say that I can recall a loss being really good for a guy, right? That fucking Mayweather circle law shit, trying to retire undefeated. If you've already lost and that was one of the things in your mind, you're like, I'm undefeated, I'm going in this fight. Once you're defeated, that pressure is gone. You see? And he revenged his only loss. You see? So that was good. But now he doesn't have that pressure of like when the you saw your favorite basketball game or your favorite football game and they were in the middle of the season, they were still undefeated. Every game you were like, "Ugh," because of the pressure of losing. So in a way, that loss set him free from that mental handcuff, of wanting to protect your O. Or in some cases, it would even stop some fighters from daring to be great. Yeah, they don't want to put the O on the line, and we never get the fight because he's like, I don't want to lose. I don't want to take a chance you know? So, yeah, listen, fight fans, I enjoyed this episode. I had a great time here. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give the videos a like. Can I get some likes up in here? If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Click that bell notification icon. It'll let you know every time I'm uploading a video. I hope I go back and check this video. My audio and everything is working out great. Um, you know, uh, which one would I wanted to try today? I don't know. I don't know. Just any sound effect, I guess. Just want to try one. That's that sound effect right there. You know what it is. What'd you say over there? Martina beats everyone at 140. Not too sure about that. Not too sure about that. You can't overlook Devin Haney. I love every fight that Devin Haney's been in. And, when you think about the rest of the suckers at 140, you're like, yeah, Subriel wipe them dudes out. And I'm in agreement with you. He will wipe everyone down. I believe his only fight and his toughest fight will be against Devin Haney. Devin Haney is skilled enough, crafty enough, but I have never seen Devin Haney's toughness be tested like that. Where that he had that kind of pressure and those punches were accumulating as the rounds were going by. I've never seen Devin Haney take 30, 40, 50 punches to the arms, to the chest, being systematically broken down, relentless body attack, head and body, that kind of pressure. Will his footwork be able to sustain, to spin out? Will he keep his back off of the ropes and utilize his jab? Will Subriel Matias take away his jab and come in the front door? And will Devin Haney meet him in the front door? Will his father not allow him to stand on the inside, which I believe would be a mistake? Devin Haney has the skills, the endurance, the cat-like reflexes, and the must twitchel movement where that he can sustain that. He did it against Lomachenko. Lomachenko had a great pressure on young Devin Haney, and we all saw that Devin Haney did keep his composure. And in the fight, he was tested, but he wasn't Subriel Matias tested. There's a different test, you see, and that I have to see for myself. I'm not willing to just bypass Devin Haney, and there are other young fighters too that are in this division. Jermaine Ortiz did great against Teofimo Lopez. He has legs for days, as we can see. He can move around that ring a little bit, tighten up his game plan, acknowledging that he has to bite down on the mouthpiece sometimes and go for it. Those are things he can work on. He'll be a threat, a great opponent. Um, there are a couple guys at the 140 that I can honestly say that, yeah, Subriel will, but there's nobody for me anyway that's there quite like Devin Haney, and that's why Devin Haney is the WBC champion, and he was the 135-pound undisputed champion for a reason at only 24 years old. So yeah, I just think that Subriel will have to show himself and the world that he's that guy. And all he's been waiting for is for you to give him that opportunity. Once Devin Haney signs on the dotted line, I'll tell you then. I'll tell you then. Yeah, a lot of guys might not want to fight him like that. When you got look, what Ortiz actually did to Tio is was on some Floyd shit where he couldn't even fucking touch him, right? So when you got a guy that at any point in the fight, if he wants to scramble and move, you might not get to him, right? So that's a good weapon to be able to fall back on. The ability to understand distance, to do the dance with your feet, and to be able to get in and out of trouble. Going backwards is something you do not want to do in a fight all night because it's going to get you fatigued. It's going to give you, you're so tense on going backwards, and the whole time you're going backward, you're thinking about is counter punching, and you're ready. You're like that'll fatigue you. That'll break you down. Yes, it will. And you don't have to throw one punch. That will get you so tired going backwards. Oh my God, that's so hard. So when Ortiz has things like this that he can go back into, it's really good. So let's see what happens with Ortiz as well. Listen, I think Ortiz is better than Rolly, and I would like to see the rematch with Ortiz and Teal. And if Teal was a dog, fuck it, give Ortiz the rematch in Honduras. Honduras and Ortiz, if you want to dare to be great, you got to go out there. You were already given your opportunity in Vegas. You came up short, homie. You're gonna have to go in the enemy's territory. I'd take it. I'd take the fight. I'd try to knock Teal's punk ass out. I wouldn't try to leave it up to the judges. Or I'd just try to beat him so bad, like you can't rob me. Well, they could do whatever they want. I've seen some bad robberies. Really bad robberies. It's ridiculous. Um, but yeah, yeah. I'm not sure if those guys will fight him, but I know one thing for sure. Subriel Matias has proven he's a force to be reckoned with. And he's here. And he has a belt. He has the belt. He has the IBF championship, 140-pound championship of the world. And unless you want that belt, you're going to have to come see that man. I'm not sure that Elvis Rodriguez is going to be his opponent in Puerto Rico, where that I'm seeing that that is not official. That is not official. His opponent's name could change. Honestly, I thought that Elvis wasn't gonna fight him. Yeah. Yeah, I thought Elvis was gonna be like, on second thought, you know? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I try to throw some ideas out there for us, you know. I think those are the good ideas, but will those ideas happen? Nah. I don't think Tio wants that smoke with Ortiz. He barely escaped that. You think he's gonna go back there? Fuck no. Fuck no. Tio ain't built like that no more. He's sleeping on silk sheets now. It's hard to train when you sleep on silk sheets. Think that one over. Listen, love you guys here at Round One Sports Talk. I'm your host, Edwin. It's always been my pleasure. I'm on to the next one. After this one, peace.